quiver slung on one shoulder. She said she was holding it. I found this on your pillow, Tom said, tossing him the ring he had bought on St. a year ago. A parting gift, it seems. There were lovers' knots and some other flowers strewn over both pillows. I jammed the ring on his finger. It's mine, burn you. I paid for it myself. The old gleeman knuckled his mustaches and smiled until that was stifled something on his ring. Gilbert scratched off that particular hat and became engrossed in studying the inside of it. Matt drew a deep breath. I hope you two spared a moment for your own belongings, he said levelly, because as soon as I grab Oliver, we're on our way. Even if we happen to leave a moldy heart or a rusty sword breaker behind. Julian tugged at the corner of his eye with one finger, whatever that was supposed to mean. But Tom actually frowned. Insults to Tom's flute were his heart were insults to himself. My lord, Logan said mournfully. He was a dark, balding man, rounder than Sameko, and his black Tyrant Commoner's coat, tight to the waist, then flaring, like Julian's, fit very tightly indeed. Normally almost as solemn as Naren, now he had reddened eyes, as though he had been weeping. My lord, is there any chance I might remain to see Lord Khaleesian buried? He was a good master. I hated saying no. Anybody left behind might be left for a long time, he said gently. Listen, I'll need someone to help look after Oliver. Naren has his hands full with me. For that matter, Naren will go back to Tomanis, you know. If you'd like, I will take you on myself. He had grown used to having a manservant, and these were hard times for a man hunting work. I would like that very much, my lord, the fellow said vigorously. Young Oliver reminds me much of my youngest sister's son. Only when they entered Matt's former rooms, Lady Rosella was there, and quite alone. Why should I have kept him tied to me, she said, that truly marvelous bosom heaving with emotion when she battered her fists on her hips. Queen's duckling, it seemed, was not supposed to take a snappish tone with great tenderness. Step a boy's wings too far, and he will never grow to a proper man. He read his pages aloud, sitting on my knee. He might have read all day, had I allowed it. And did his numbers, so I let him go. Why are you in such a bother? He promised to return by sunset. And he seems to set a great store by his promises. Propping the Ashandarai in its old corner, Matt told the other men to drop their burdens and go find Ben and the remaining Red Arms. Then he left Rosella's expectant over and ran all the arms and Nynaeve and the other women shared. They were all there in the sitting room, and so was Lan with his water's cloak already draped down his back, and saddlebags on his shoulders. His saddlebags and Nynaeve's, it seemed. A good many bundles of dresses and not-so-small chests stood about the floor. I wondered if they would make Lan carry those, too. Of course you have to go find him, Matt Coffin, Nynaeve said. Do you think we would just abandon the child? To hear her, you would have thought that was exactly what he had intended. Suddenly, he was deluged with offers of help. Not just Nynaeve and Elaine proposing to put off going to the farm, but Lan and Brigitte and Avienda offering to join the search. Lan was stone cold about it, grim as ever, but Brigitte and Avienda... My heart would break if anything happened to that boy, Brigitte said. Avienda added just as warmly. I have always said you do not care for him properly. Matt ground his teeth. In the streets of the city, Oliver might well elude 8 men until he appeared back at the palace at sunset. He did keep his promises, but small chance he would give up one moment of freedom he did not have to. More eyes would mean a quicker search, especially if all the wise women were brought into it. For the space of 3 heartbeats, he hesitated. He had his own promises. The bull is too important, he told them. That Golem is still out there, and maybe Morgedian, and the Black Hadja for sure. The dice thundered in his head. Avienda would not appreciate being lumped in with Nynaeve and Elaine, but he did not care right then. He addressed Len and Brigitte. Keep them safe until I can reach you. Keep all of them safe. Startlingly, Avienda said, "We will. I promise." She fingered the hilt of her knife. Apparently, she did not understand that she was one of those to be kept safe. Nynaeve and Elaine did. Nynaeve's sudden glare tried to bore a hole through his skull. He expected her to yank on the braid, but strangely, her hand only fluttered toward it before being put firmly to her side. Elaine contented herself with raising her chin, those big blue eyes frost-heaving, her dental ear. Lan and Brigitte understood too. "Nynaeve is my life," Lan said simply, putting a hand on her shoulder. The odd thing was, she suddenly looked very sad, very dismally. Her jaw set as though she was preparing to walk through a stone wall and make a large hole. Brigitte gave Elaine a fond look, but it was to Matt she spoke. "I will," she said. "Honor's true." Matt tugged at his coat uncomfortably. He still was not sure how much he had told her about Thrawn. Like when the woman could soak it up like dry sand. The honor of blood, the truth of blood. Brigitte nodded, and from the startled looks he received from Nynaeve and Elaine, she still kept his secrets close. Like any eyes that I ever found out about those memories, might as well know he had blown the horn as well. Foxhead or no foxhead, they would stretch him out until they dug out every last why and how. As he was turning to go, Nynaeve caught his sleeve. "Remember the storm, Matt. It's going to break soon, I know it. You take care of yourself, Matt Coffin. You hear me? Tylen has directions for the farm when we get back with Oliver." Nine made his escape. The diagnosis of his running boots. Was it during the search that he was supposed to take care of himself, or while getting the directions from Tylen? Nynaeve and her listening to the wind. Did she think a little rain was going to melt him? Not a thing. The winds, it would rain again. It seemed years since rain last fell. Something tugged at his thoughts. Something about the weather and the lane, which made no sense, but he shrugged it off. One thing at a time. The one thing right now was Oliver. The men were all waiting in the Red Arm's long room near the stables. Everyone on their feet except Bannon, who lay sprawled up on the beds with his fingers laced over his belly. Bannon said a man had to take rest when he could. He swung his boots over and sat up when Matt entered, though. He cared about Oliver as much as the others did. Matt was just afraid the man was going to start teaching him how to steal horses and poach pheasants. 7 sets of eyes focused on Matt intently. "Rosella said Oliver's wearing his red coat," he told them. "He gives them away sometimes. Any urchin you see in a good red coat, everybody goes in a different direction. Make loops out from the Malhara, and try to be back after about an hour. Wait till everybody is back before you go out again. That way, if somebody finds him, the rest of us won't still be looking tomorrow. Does everybody understand?" They nodded. Sometimes it amazed him. Lanky Tom, with his white hair and mustaches, who had been a queen's lover once, and more willingly than himself, not to mention more than a lover, if you believed half he said. Square-jawed Harnan with that tattoo on his cheek, and more elsewhere, who had been a soldier all his life. Julian, with his bamboo staff and his sword-breaker on his hip, who thought himself as good as any lord, even at the idea of carrying a sword himself, still made him uneasy. Ben, who made Julian look a bootlicker by comparison. Skinny Fergan and Gordoran, nearly as wide in the shoulders as Perrin, and Metwin, whose pale Carianan face still looked like a boy's despite being years older than that. Some of them followed Matt Coffin because they thought he was lucky, because his luck might keep them alive in the sword ground. And some for reasons he was not really sure of, but they followed. Not even Tom had ever more than protested in front of his. Maybe Renala had been more than luck. Maybe his being Tiburon did more than dump him in the middle of trouble. Suddenly he felt responsible for these men. It was an uncomfortable feeling. Matt Coffin and responsibility did not go together. was unnatural. Take care of yourselves and look sharp, he said. You know what's out there? There's a storm coming. Now why did he say that? Move! They're wasting light. The wind still blew strongly, sweeping dust across the Valhalla Square, with its statue of a long-dead queen posing above the mountain. But there was no other sign of a storm. Darien had been noted for her honesty, but not enough to have been depicted completely bare-chested. The afternoon sun burned high in a sky without a cloud. The people rushed through the square as quickly as they had in the morning cool. That was gone, wind or no, down here on the ground. The paving stones seemed to griddle under his boots. Glaring across the square at the wandering woman, Matt headed toward the river.
Hey, Sports Talk, how you doing, bro? Hope you're doing good this evening.
So much for the dice telling him he had to move into the palace. Anything he had done since leaving, anything he wanted to do, he avoided from Tyler and her eyes and her hands. Any of it could have been done just as well from there. Those dice spun now. I wish they would just go away.
Appreciate it.
Dodging impatiently around the trundling carts and wagons, cursing at lacquered sedan chairs and coaches, nearly ran him down. Eyes shutting in search of a red coat close to the ground, but the bustle in the streets slowed him to a meander.
At least I try to be.
Well, true. No point dashing by the boy without seeing him. Wishing he had brought Pips out of the palace stables, he frowned at the people streaming past. The man on horseback could have moved no faster than dawn, but up in the saddle, he could have seen farther. Ran again, asking questions in the saddle, come on. And the coat matched the roads in the city, so he couldn't guarantee he was shot with the horse. Always the same question.
Oh, shit.
The first one he asked was at a bridge just below the farm.
Well, maybe eventually. Mainly, I just do mine to, well, I'm not gaming, just pretty much chill and have an audiobook going.
Seen 1,000 boys. Don't remember no coat, though.
Well, it'd be cool to eventually do that.
He scooped up two with bony fingers and pushed them in. The way they gave under his fingers, they were softer than any baking could account for. Did my lord hear about the riot? The other end of the bridge. Red petticoats flashed beneath the skirt sewn up nearly to her left hip, and the cut of her bodice revealed rounded cleavage to equal resemblance. Have you seen a boy? He heard about the riot. And from half the people he asked. That rumor, he suspected, had begun with events at a certain house in Rahad that very morning. A wagon driver with her long whip coiled around her neck even told him the ride had been across the river, once she allowed his boys unless they ran under the mules. A square-faced man who sold honeycomb, incredibly godly honeycomb, said the ride had been down on
Yeah, but we might have to schedule that one of these times.
side of the mouth of the bay.
Sports Talk.
Likely a place for riding, as the middle of the bay itself. There were always 1,000 rumors in any city if you listen.
Hey, Rickard, how you doing?
Of all of them, it seemed. One of the most remarkably pretty women he'd ever seen, standing outside a tavern, Ellie was a serving girl of the old sheep, but her only task seemed to be standing outside to attract customers, which she certainly
Ready for some rain?
told him there had been a battle down in these hills west of the city, she thought. Or maybe in the Roanoke across the bay. Or maybe
Because I just took a dab of some wax. That's what this was. It's to smoke wax out of, or smoke wax with.
What color coat did he say again? He heard about riots and battles. He heard about enough strange things seen in the sky or the hills to populate the blight. He heard that the Dragon Reborn was about to descend on the city with thousands of men who could channel. That the Aiel was an army of Aes Sedai. No, it was an army of white cloaks. Adrian Nile was dead and the children intended to avenge him. But why Abu Dar was not exactly clear. You might have thought the city would be deep in panic with all the tales floating around, but the fact was, even those who told a tale usually who only half believed it. So he heard all sorts of nonsense, but not a word about any boy in a red coat. A few streets from the river, he began hearing thunder, great hollow booms that seemed to roll in from the sea. People looked up curiously at the cloudless sky, scratched their heads, and went on about their business.
Right, Rickard.
Questioning every seller of sweets or fruit he saw.
Well, the wax is THC.
All to no avail. Reaching the long stone quay that ran the whole length of the river.
Go through this. Hell yeah, Rickard. That sounds good. And sports talk. I have my my medical card for the state I'm in to have weed, wax, and to smoke it and grow it.
Unlike horses,
It's legal in my state.
except as a way to go from here to there. And ships were men's business in every dock, even if the lady they carried on was not. Women on these docks would either be merchants keeping an eye on their goods, or
So I have two different ones that do the same thing to smoke my wax out of
sweet sellers here.
or with.
About to turn away, he realized
This one has perks in it.
Bustled, yet on every ship he could see. Crewmen lined the rails and climbed into the rigging to stare toward the bay.
And then
Barrels and crates
have my
stood
bowl.
abandoned, while shirtless men and wiry women in green leather vests crowded together at the ends of the docks to peer between the ships south toward the thunder.
Oh, do you, Rickard? You're in New Mexico too?
Columns slanting sharply north in the wind.
I don't smoke anything with nicotine unless it's a blunt wrap. That's as much nicotine as I get. But e-cigs, not really.
Because of the way the shoreline lay, though, each dock stuck out farther than the next down. Once he pushed into the murmuring crowd at the end, the broad river made an open path.
If I remember right, Rickard, I don't think we're too far from each other.
At least 2 dozen
It's
ships
been a while since you've been here.
expanse of the bay, maybe more. Engulfed in flame,
I know you come to my brother's live when we do our smoking live all the time.
And that's sliding under. Even as he looked, the bow of a broad two-masted ship flying a large banner of red and blue and gold, the banner of Altara, suddenly flew apart with a roar. A boom.
Yeah, it is. It's like I said, I have my medical card. My brother has his medical card, but it's legal medically and it's legal recreational too.
Their triangular sails, river ships under sail or sweep, some fleeing upriver, most trying to beat out to sea.
You know, shit.
Scores of other ships swanned into the bay before
I need a dab. I need to get hold of a good dab rig, but until I get a dab rig, I'm stuck with my nectar collector. Having the nectar collector definitely saves me on going through so much wax.
Who? Demanded a stern-faced woman crowded next to him. A dark blue
Recreational is pretty much if you don't have a medical card to buy it, you can go and buy it anyways as long as you're 21 or older. You can go to the dispensary and buy you some wax, some flour, some edibles, some a little bit of everything.
Hold your tongue about Aes Sedai, you flaming penny grubber, or I'll peel you and stuff a white cloak down your bleeding gullet.
You're gonna pay a hefty tax on it for being recreational, but anyone with their medical card doesn't have to pay the tax on it.
Figures clung to the creatures' backs, apparently in some sort of saddles. Another flying creature appeared, and more. Below them,
Actually, I have a couple in flower right now, and they're both from Aqua Genetics. I have a Bubba J that's a feminized photo, and then I have an autoflower going. It's called The Secret. Yeah, medical patients, if you have a medical card, you don't have to pay the tax. The only ones that have to pay the tax is recreational.
101 men in helmets like insects' heads and armor of overlapping plates, all riding animals like cats the size of horses, but covered in bronze scales rather than fur.
Yeah, if it's legal in your state, you could go to the dispensary and buy you a gram of wax or a wax pen. Cause they have some pens that are set up like how e-cigs are. They're just like pre-packaged, rechargeable but disposable. You can buy ones like that. That is if it's legal in your state. But you could be from out of state, come to New Mexico, California, Colorado, or any state that's recreational, go to a dispensary and buy weed, wax, edibles.
Twice more he saw a column of fire rise briefly above the rooftops and smoke drifted to the sky.
Actually, let me get the container out of what I'm smoking on. Gotta move my
Inside the city, he was sure. More than once the ground
here.
And
Oh, there we go.
was very intense. It flew in every direction, down alleys, into houses and shops. The Sean Cannon horses were coming. Not all were armored men. Near the head of that small thicket of lances rode a dark woman in a blue dress.
Yep, so you can just go to the dispensary and buy it.
With silver lightning. A silver leech.
Make sure I don't spill it.
Left wrist to the neck of a woman in gray. Money trotted beside the Soldom's horse like a pet dog. He had seen
Okay,
Sean Cannon
so
fall
that
in the
chunk
morning, too.
dropped out.
Unconsciously, he paused at the mouth of an alleyway, watching. The roars and fires had showed that somebody in the city was trying to fight back at least.
You can
Now he was going to see
kind of
something.
see it.
The Sean Cannon not the only reason everyone else had gotten out of
Making
sight.
sure I'm not dropping that.
End of the street, a good 100 mounted men swung long-pointed lances down. They wore baggy white breeches and green coats, and the gold cords on the officer's helmet glittered. With a collective shout, 100 or more of Thailand's soldiers hurled themselves toward the city's attackers. They outnumbered the Sean Cannon in front of them by at least 2 to 1.
Yeah, it's wax. It's a type of wax. Because wax they have crumble, which is pretty much how this is. How pretty much this crumbles apart.
The fox-head medallion cooled against his chest.
You got shatter. You got your sugar waxes. Well, this is I think this would be considered like a combination of sugar and crumble, just because of the way it is. Crumble wax is pretty much like that. It's different texture, pretty much, is what the different waxes are. In different consistencies, because there'd be. It's hard to explain. It goes by the way it looks. I'm not gonna see that piece of wax that had all kinds of dog hair on it. But
others just ran afoot, all away from the Sean Cannon. Steel they could face, not this. Running, Matt realized.
So you can see it better on the bottom.
A glance back down the alley showed dust and rubble piled at least a story high.
That's why it's called crumble. It's because it's like that.
Keeping as close to the walls as possible, hoping none of the Sean Cannon would think he was one of Thailand's soldiers. He should never have worn a green coat.
But once it gets some heat to it, like how I've been using my nectar collector, it kind of turns to like this consistency. You can see like how it's all golden looking.
What happened to my bloody luck?
It's all different consistencies of waxes. The way it looks, the texture of it. So there's shatter, there's a batter, there's all kinds of different types.
Spears. Mountains rose all around Galena Casbah, little more than large hills behind, but snow-capped hyacinths beyond those. Yet she really saw none of them. The stones of the slope rose to bare feet. She panted, lungs laboring already.
Have you never gone to a dispensary or seen any type of THC sports talk? Because living in Cali, I figured you would. Just because Cali's been Even before they went recreational or medical, they're still like had a lot. It was out there more. Do another dab. Use this one again. It retains heat better than this one. Just because it has a thin titanium top. No.
And she was one of only 3 who knew the name of the woman who led their heated meetings. She could speak any name in those meetings, a king, and know that name belonged to the dead. It had happened with a king and with a queen. She had helped to break 2 Ammerlands, twice helped turn the most powerful woman in the world into a screaming witch, eager to tell all she knew. Had helped
Why not? Just not your thing, or? Because I mainly smoke this because it helps me with a lot of medical problems like pain, anxiety, helps me sleep. That's why I smoke so much at night when I do my live. It helps me sleep because I have a slight insomnia problem. You see?
A tree stopped her. Face pressed against the ground, she began to sob. How, she moaned in pain. How could this happen? After a while, she realized that she had not been cruel. No matter how often she fell,
That was a little hot.
allowed a moment's respite. Blinking away tears, she raised her head. A year woman covered the mountainside. Several hundred of them scattered among the barren trees with their spears. The veils were raised in an instant, hanging down their cheeks. Galena wanted to laugh. Maidens. They called these monstrous women maidens. She wished she could laugh. At least there were no men present, a small mercy. Men made her skin crawl, and if one could see her now, less than half clothed. Anxiously, her eyes sought for Tarava, but most of the 70 or so wise ones stood together, looking at something farther up the slope, blocking her view. There seemed to be a murmur of voices from the front of them. Maybe the wise ones were conferring about something. Wise ones. They had been brutally efficient in teaching her the correct names. Never just Aiel woman, and never wild. They could smell contempt, however.
Yeah, pretty much.
Of course, you did not have to try hiding it out of you. Most of the wise ones were looking away, but not all. The glow of Sidar surrounded a young, pretty, red-haired woman with a delicate mouth, who watched Galena with an eye.
I knew there was a couple of them. I didn't know there was
Perhaps as a sign
6.
of their own disdain, they had chosen
But yeah, that sounds about right.
to shield her this morning. Mikara was not truly weak in power. None of them were that. But even smarting from shoulders to knees as she was, Galena could have broken Mikara's shield with her hand. A muscle in her cheek spasmed uncontrollably. It always did.
The rosin, or the resin, and the live rosin, depending on how it's pronounced different ways by different people.
She would
But
not make the attempt again
the
until she
live
was sure
one and the regular one are
very sure. Absolutely sure.
the more expensive of
The massive wise ones
the
parted,
waxes.
turning to follow
Oh, and they have
Tarava.
diamonds too.
The hawk-faced woman strode toward Galena. Suddenly panting once more with apprehension, Galena tried to struggle to her feet. Hands bound and muscles watery, she'd only reached her knees when Tarava bent over her, necklaces of ivory and gold clattering softly. Seizing a handful of Galena's hair, Tarava forced her head back sharply. Taller than most men, the woman did that even
Yeah, because the live resin is
straining Galena's neck painfully to make her look
more
like the
expensive
wise
because
one's
it's actually made
Tarava was somewhat stronger in the power than she,
from
which relatively few women were. But that was not what made
live
Galena
plants. It's actually made from while the plant is still alive versus some of the other ones.
tightly from Tarava's rough hand. They seemed to strip her soul naked as easily as the wise one handled her. She had not begged yet, not when they made her walk all day with hardly a drop of water, not when they forced her to keep up as they ran for hours, not even when their switches made her howl. Terava's cruel, hard face, staring at her passively, made her want to beg. Sometimes she woke at night, stretched out tight between the 4 stakes where they bound her, woke whimpering from dreams that her whole life would be lived under Terava's hands. "She's collapsing already," the wise one said in a voice like stone. "Water her and bring her." Turning away, she adjusted her shawl. Galina Kazban forgotten until there was a need to recall her. To Terava, Galina Kazban was less important than a stray dog. Galina did not try to
Yeah,
remain.
pretty much.
She had been watered often enough by now. It was the only way they let her drink. Aching for moisture, she
You can also remix into butter too to make edibles.
Terava had, and pulled her head back. She just opened her mouth as far as she could. Another maiden with a puckered scar slanting across nose and cheek tilted a water skin and slowly poured a trickle into Galina's waiting mouth. The water was flat and warm. It was delicious. She swallowed convulsively, awkwardly, holding her jaw.
Yep, I know. Did you go look all that up and put it there word for word, bro?
She moved her face under that thin stream to let it run over her cheeks and forehead. Instead, she kept her head very steady so that every drop went down her throat.
Yeah, I have.
Spilling water was cause for
Me and my brother have a machine that makes our butter for us. We throw the pound of butter in our weed, and it makes us our can of butter. We actually used our can of butter to infuse our ham for Thanksgiving. So we pretty much made our ham edible, medicated ham.
An unseen maiden cut Galina across the back of her thighs with a switch, and she stumbled to a semblance of a run, half dragged by the blocky maiden. The switch slashed her legs whenever they faltered. If this run continued,
That's what it looked like.
One maiden wielding the stick and another dragging. Laboring up slopes and nearly sliding down, Galina ran. A tawny mountain cat, striped in shades of brown and heavier than a man, snarled at them from a rocky ledge above. A female, lacking the tufts on her ears and the wide cheeks. Galina wanted to shout at her to flee, to run before Terava caught her. The Aiel ran on by the snarling animal unconcerned, and Galina wept with jealousy for the cat's freedom. She would be rescued eventually, of course. She knew that. The tower would not allow a sister to remain in captivity. Elida would not allow a red to be held. Surely Alviarin would send rescue. Someone would, anyone, to save her from these monsters, especially from Terava. She would promise anything for that deliverance. She would make promises. She had been broken free of the 3 oaths on joining the Black Aja, replacing them with a new trinity. But at that moment, she truly believed she would keep her word if it brought rescue. Any promise to anyone who would free her, even a man. By the time low tents appeared, their dark colors fading into the forested mountainsides as well as the cat had, Galina had 2 maidens supporting her, pulling her along. Shouts rose from every side, glad cries of greeting, but Galina was dragged on behind the wise ones, deeper into the camp, still running, stumbling. Without warning, the hands left her arms. She pitched forward on her face and lay there with her nose in the dirt and dead leaves, sucking air through her gaping mouth. She coughed on a piece of leaf, but she was too weak to turn her head. The blood pounded her ears, but voices came to her and slowly began to make sense. "Took your time, Terava," a familiar-sounding woman's voice said. 9 days. We have been back long since." 9 days? Galina shook her head, scrubbing her face on the ground. Since the Aiel had shot her horse from under her, memory blended all the days into a melange of thirst and running and being beaten, and surely it had been longer ago than 9 days. Weeks, certainly. A month or more. Bring her in, the familiar voice said impatiently. Hands pulled her up, shoved her forward, bending her to go under the edge of a large tent with the sides raised all around. She was thrown down on layered carpets, the edge of a red and blue Tyran maze overlapping gaudy flowers beneath her nose. With difficulty, she raised her head. At first, she saw nothing but Savannah, seated on a large, yellow tasseled cushion. Savannah, with her hair like her clear emerald eyes. Savannah, who had given her word to distract attention by raiding into Kyrian, then broken her pledge by trying to free Althor. Savannah, who at the least might take her from Terava's clutches. She struggled up onto her knees and for the first time realized there were others in the tent. Terava sat on a cushion to Savannah's right, at the head of a curving line of wise ones. Channel and all, though Mikara, who still held the shield on her, stood at the foot of the line rather than sitting. Half of them had been among the wise ones who captured her with such scornful ease. She would never again be so careless about wise ones. Never again. Short, pale-faced men and women in white robes moved behind the wise ones, wordlessly offering trays of gold or silver with small cups, and more did the same on the other side of the tent, where a gray-haired woman in an Aiel coat and breeches.
Hey, just chilling. How you doing, bro?
At the head of a line of
Just do a dab dab.
ripped and gaping in a number of
Hell yeah.
Galina clamped her teeth shut to stifle a scream. She forced her back stiff to keep from trying to burrow into the rugs and hide from those cold male eyes.
Using one of my new ones tonight.
That Aes Sedai can lie, Savannah said, and the blood drained from Galina's face. The woman could not believe.
A little shower head perk in there for some
You
reason.
made pledges, Galina Casban, and broke them. Did you think you could murder a wise one and then run?
Nice. Got treats, huh? Hell yeah.
Savannah did not know about the Black Object. Had she not abandoned the light long ago, she would have thanked the light. Relief stilled her tongue, and a tiny spark of indignation. They attacked Aes Sedai, and were angry when some of them died? A tiny spark was all she could manage. After all, what was Savannah's twisting facts alongside days of beatings and Terava's eyes? A pained, croaking laugh bubbled up at the absurdity of it. Her throat was so dry.
Some banana smack.
She managed past her laughter. Even now it is not too late to rectify your mistakes, Savannah. With an effort she swallowed rueful mirth before it turned to tears. Just before. When I return to the White Tower, I will remember those who assist me. Even now, she would have added, do otherwise, but Terava's unwavering stare set fear flickering in her middle. For all she knew, Terava still might be allowed to do whatever she wished. There had to be some way to induce Savannah to take charge of her. That tasted bitter. If anything was better than Terava. Savannah was ambitious. In the midst of frowning at Galina, she caught sight of her own hand and lifted a brief glowing stone that Venus set a large emerald. She wore rings on half her fingers and necklaces of pearls and diamonds fit for any queen draped across the swell of her hair. Savannah could not resist the temptation, as she looked. Terava was the looks of nature, as well try to buy a flood from an avalanche. I trust that you will observe these rites, she finished. The rewards of friendship with the White Tower are endless. For a long moment there was silence except for the whisper of the white robes as the servants then, you are Datsan, Savannah said. Galina blushed. She was a despised woman. Certainly they had displayed their contempt plainly, but then, you are Datsan, a round-faced wise one she did not know intoned. And a woman a hand taller than Terava repeated, you are Datsan. Terava No one had ever made her feel that way. No one.
That was a good hit.
Three wise ones have spoken. Savannah's satisfied smile was almost welcome. Tarava's face was sick. The woman did not like whatever had just happened. Something had happened, even if Galena did not know what. Except that it appeared to have delivered her.
Only if you're close to just chilling.
More than enough for the moment. More than enough. When maidens cut her bounds and stuffed her into a black wool robe, she was so grateful she almost did not care that they tore off the remnants of her shift first.
There was a soda, there was a 2 liter at the store, and that tastes good.
She welcomed it as though it were silk. Despite Matara still she could have laughed as the maidens led her out of the tent. It did not take long for that desire to vanish entirely. It did not take her long to begin wondering whether begging on her knees before Savannah would do any good. She would have done it, could she have gotten to the woman, except that Matara made it plain she was not going anywhere she was not told to go, or speak a word unless spoken to. Arms folded, Savannah watched the Aes Sedai, the Datsang, stagger down the mountainside and stop beside a maiden squatting on her heels with a switch to drop the head-shaped stone she had been carrying in her hands. The black hood turned in Savannah's direction for a moment, but the Datsang quickly bent to pick up another large stone and turned to labor back up the 50 paces to where Mikara waited with another maiden. There she dropped that stone, picked up another, and started back down. Datsang were always shamed with useless labor. Unless there was great need, the
Don't
woman
like
was
the
not
cold.
allowed to carry even a cup of water.
I like the cold, but my body doesn't. I've done too much damage to it through the
The
years.
sun had a long way to climb yet.
But for us right now, it's pretty cool. Well, it's
I did not think she
typically
would
how our
condemn
winters
herself
are.
out of her own mouth,
Right now, it's
Rihanna said at Savannah's shoulder.
41 degrees
Ivana
out,
and the others are all
but I also
sure
have
she
my
will
AC
be
on too.
chilling to sane. She is mine, Savannah.
And it's supposed to be like
She might
high
have
of
taken the woman,
64
but
today.
some belonged to no one. I intended to dress her in Gaisha in robes of silk, she muttered. What is the purpose of this, Savannah? I expected to have to argue against cutting her throat. Not this. Riala talked, casting a sidelong glance at Savannah. Savannah intends to break her. We have had long talks of what to do should we capture any Aes Sedai. Savannah wants a tame Aes Sedai to wear white and serve her. An Aes Sedai in black will do well enough, though. Savannah shifted her shawl, irritated by the woman's tone. Not quite mocking, but all too aware that she wanted somehow to use the Aes Sedai's channeling as though it were Savannah's own. It would be possible. Two guys shined past the three wise ones, carrying a large brass-strapped chest between them. Short and pale-faced, husband and wife, they had been lord and lady in the Tree Killer's lands. The pair bowed their heads more meekly than any Aiel in white ever could have managed. Their dark eyes were tight with fear of a harsh word, much less a switch. Wetlanders could be tamed like horses. The woman is tamed already, Tarava grumbled. I have looked into her eyes. She is a bird fluttering in the hand and afraid to fly. In 9 days, Riala said incredulously, and Savannah shook her head vigorously. She is Aes Sedai, Tarava. You saw her face go pale with fury when I accused her. You heard her laugh as she spoke of killing the wise ones. She made a vexed, angry sound. And you
Yeah, I remember that whenever I was staying up in Venice. It was pretty much year-round you can hop in that water.
But what else could be expected by Savannah? It will take long to break her, but this Aes Sedai will...
They literally like brand new.
Once she did that, Aes Sedai could not lie, of course. She had expected Galena to deny her accusation. Once she swore to obey... If you want to make an Aes Sedai obey you, a man's voice said behind her. This might help. Incredulous, Savannah spun about to find Kadar standing there, and beside him the woman, the Aes Sedai, Macia, both dressed in dark silk and fine lace as they had been 6 days ago, each with a bulging sack hanging incongruously from one shoulder by a strap. Kadar held out a smooth white rod about a foot long in one dark
I
hand.
gotta go to
How did you come
the
here?
dentist tomorrow.
Then compressed her lips in hand.
Definitely not looking forward to that.
Finally, he had come as he had before. She was just surprised to see him here in the middle of the camp. She snatched the white rod he offered, and as always,
So down there to go to dentist appointment tomorrow, and
Why have you come? She
yeah, they're probably gonna end up pulling several teeth.
Slimmer than her wrist, the rod was smooth except for a few odd flowing symbols incised on one flat end. It felt not quite like ivory, quite like glass, very cool to the touch. You might call it an oath rod, Kadar said, showing teeth in what was doubtless meant for a smile. It only came into my hands yesterday, and I immediately thought of you. Savannah clamped her hands tight around the rod to keep from hurling it away. Everyone knew what the Aes Sedai's oath rod did. Trying not even to think, much less speak, she thrust it behind her belt and took her hands away. Riala frowned at the rod at Savannah's waist, and her eyes rose slowly, coldly, to Savannah's face. Tarava adjusted her shawl in a clatter of bracelets and gave her a hard, thin smile. There would never be any chance of one of them touching the rod, and maybe no chance of any other wise one doing so either. But there was still Galina Casban. One day she would break. Raven-eyed Macia, a little behind Kadar, smiled almost as faintly as Tarava. She had seen and understood. She was
This is still the same book that's been playing.
Come, Savannah told Kadar.
Just chilling.
We will drink tea in my tent. She
Because
certainly would not share
if I remember right, when I read the book was over 1,000 pages. Because the total read time on it is, let me see.
Walking easily beside her on his long legs, he grinned suddenly truthfully at Riala and Tarava. Or any woman who can channel.
Because total time on the book is 30 hours and 24 minutes.
The marks on the end of the rod.
That's pretty much how long it would take you to read it. At least at this pace.
Savannah's fingers touched the rod lightly.
And we have an hour and a half of this book left.
She ducked into the tent ahead of him. The wise ones and the leaders of the warrior societies were gone, but the dozen tree killer Guy Shine remained, kneeling patiently to one side. No one person had ever kept a dozen Guy Shine before, and she possessed one.
And how this one was over 30 hours. The next book in the series, book 8, is actually only 22 hours. Or 23, oh my bad, 23 hours and 25 minutes long.
Removing the sack from his shoulder, he sat. Not on a cushion near hers, of course. Macia was not afraid of a blade in her ribs. She lounged on an elbow almost at Savannah's side. Savannah eyed her sideways, then casually undid another lace of her own blouse. She did not recall.
Oh, damn. Hit the wrong button.
She did not recall the woman's bosom being as round as that. For that matter, her face seemed even more beautiful as well. Savannah tried not to grind her teeth. Of course, Kadar went on, if you mean some other matter, there is a thing called a binding chair. Binding people who cannot channel is more difficult than binding those who can. Perhaps a binding chair survived the breaking, but you will have to wait while I find it. Savannah touched the rod again, then ordered one of the Guy Shine to bring tea.
Yeah, just changed that. I played the book all the way through.
Sooner or later, he would give her everything she wanted of him. And now the rod.
Because when I ended live,
Surely then,
I paused the book. That way, when I start my live up again, I could pick up from where
took a small green
we left off.
cup from the tray the Guy Shine held and gave it to the Aes Sedai with her own hands. It is flavored with mint, Macia. You will find it refreshing. The woman smiled, but those black eyes. Well, what could be done to one Aes Sedai could be done to two, or more. What of the traveling boxes? Savannah demanded quickly. She gave the eye shine away and patted the sack beside him. I brought as many Narbaha, that is what they were called, as many as I could find. Enough to transport all of you by nightfall if you hurry. And I would if I were you. Althor means to finish you, it seems. 2 clans are coming up from the south, and 2 more are moving to come down from the north, with their wise ones all ready to channel. Their orders are to stay until every last one of you is dead or a prisoner. Tarava sniffed. A reason to move, certainly, Wetlander, but not to run. Even 4 clans cannot sweep Kinslayer's dagger in a day. Didn't I see? Kadar's smile was not at all pleasant. It seems Althor has bound some Aes Sedai to him too, and they have taught the wise ones how to travel without a Narbaha, over short distances at least, 20 or 30 miles. A recent discovery, it seems. They could be here, well, today. All 4 clans. Maybe he lied. Yet the risk. Savannah could imagine all too well being in Cerilia's grip. Not allowing herself to shiver, she sent Riala to inform the other ones. Her voice betrayed nothing. Reaching into his bag, Kadai drew out a gray stone cube, smaller than the call box she had used to summon him, and much plainer, with no marking but a bright red disc set in one face. This is a Narbaha, he said. It uses Saidin, so none of you will see anything, and it has limits. If a woman touches it, it won't work for days afterward, so I will have to hand them out myself. And it has other limits. One the gateway will remain for a fixed time, sufficient for a few thousand to go through if they don't waste time, and the Narbaha needs 3 days to recover afterward. I have enough extra to carry us where we need to go today, but... Tarava leaned forward so intently she looked about to fall over, but Savannah hardly listened. She did not doubt Kadar exactly. He would not dare betray them, not while he hungered for the gold the Shido would give him. There were small things, though. Maxia seemed to study him over her tea. Why? And if there was such need for speed, why was there no urgency in his voice? He would not betray, but she would take precautions anyway.
Merrick frowned at the stone cube the Wetlander had given him, then at the hole that had appeared when he pressed the red spot. A hole 5 paces wide and 3 high in midair. Beyond lay rolling hills, not low, covered with brown grass. He did not like things to do with the One Power, especially the male part. Savannah stepped through another smaller hole, with the Wetlander and a dark woman, following the wise ones of Savannah and Riala.
Oh, I'm about to do another one.
Only a handful of wise
I was just kicking back and enjoying the book.
You can see Savannah talking with Ben. The green salts and sap would find
But there for
themselves
some
few
fire
hours
wax.
too. Merrick was sure. Dirella touched his arm. Husband, she murmured. Savannah said it would only remain open a short while. Merrick nodded. Dirella always saw straight to the point. Veiling himself, he ran forward and leaped through the hole he had made. Whatever Savannah and the Wetlander said, he was then landed Moshain through before he knew it was safe. He landed heavily on a slope covered with dead grass, nearly tipped head over heels down the hill before he caught himself. For a moment, he stared back into the hole. This side, he found more than a foot above the ground. "Wife!" he shouted. "There is a drop!" He threw, veiled and spears ready, and maidens also. So I'll try to drink sand and keep maidens from being among the first. The rest of the Moshain followed at a run, outcasted flying, and wives and children, jumping down on the fly. Crafts for
Oh, shit.
and Gashai, most pulling heavily loaded pack horses and mules. Near to 6,000 altogether.
Could have been a high sativa strain too that was used.
They still would be once he went to Lydia.
Yeah, it definitely hits people differently,
Becoming clan chief much longer. Scouts began spreading out.
especially if they
Lowering his veil, Merrick shouted orders that sent a scream
not
of
used
deafening
to
from the crests of the surrounding
how
hills.
edibles hit.
Everyone else remained concealed below. There was no telling who or what lay beyond those hills. Rich lands, the Wetlander mentioned, did not have much to rush of his sept became a flood of Algard Sessois he did not really trust. Men slid almost to Merrick's feet. Staring at the place where the hole had been, he stabbed the red spot with his thumb. Useless, he knew, but Doran, his eldest son, was one of the stone dogs waiting as a rear guard. They would have been the last through. Surail, his eldest daughter, had remained with the stone dog from
Oh, that was still a little too hot.
The wetlander had said 3 days, but maybe he was wrong. His thumb stabbed the red spot again. Darilla nodded calmly. He hoped there would be no need to cry while they skittering down the slope from above, hurriedly lowering his head. Merrick! Not even waiting for him to see her. There are spears to the east. Only a few miles and running straight at us. At least 7 or 8. He could see other outcasts running toward him. The younger brother to the evil Caradon slid to a stop, speaking as soon as Merrick saw him. I see you, Merrick. We live no more than 5 miles to the north, and wetlanders on horses. Perhaps 10,000 of each. I do not think any of us broke the crest, but some of the spears have turned toward us. Merrick knew before the grizzled water seeker named Lara opened his mouth. Spears coming over a hill 3 or 4 miles to the south. 8,000 or more. Some of them saw one of the boys. Lara never wasted words. He would never say which boy. Who in truth could be anyone without wasting words. Come on! He shouted. No time for proper courtesy to a blacksmith. The big man knew something was wrong. He scrambled up the slope, likely moving faster than he had since first picking up a hammer. Merrick handed him a stone cube. You must press the red spot and keep pressing it no matter what happens. No matter how long it takes for that hole to open. That is the only way for any of us. Hummel nodded, but Merrick did not even wait for him to say that he would. Hummel would understand. Merrick touched Darilla's cheek, careless of how many eyes were on them. Shade of my heart, you must prepare to put on white. Her hand had strayed toward the hilt of her belt knife. She had been a maiden when she made his wreath. But he shook his head firmly. You must live, wife, Ruth mistress. Hold together what remains. Nodding, she pressed fingers to his cheek. He was astonished. He had always been very reserved in public. Raising his veil, Merrick shoved one spear high above his head. For shame! He roared. Weekends! Up the slope they followed him, men and maidens, nearly 1,000 strong, counting the brotherless. Perhaps they could be counted among the set. Up the slope and west. That way lay the nearest and the fewest. Perhaps they might buy enough time, though he did not really believe that. He wondered whether Savannah had known of this. The world had grown very strange since Randolph came. Some things could not change, though. Laughing, he began to sing. Wash the spears while the sun climbs high. Wash the spears while the sun falls low. Wash the spears, who fears to die? Wash the spears, no one I know. Singing, the Moshain Shadow ran to dance their deaths.
Frowning, Grendel watched the gateway close behind the last of the Jumai Shadow. The Jumai had a great many wise ones. Unlike with the others, Samael had not simply knotted this web so it would fall apart eventually. At least she assumed he held it to the last, the close. closing, right on the heels of the last brown and gray-clad men, was too fortuitous otherwise. Laughing, Samael passed away the band, still holding a few of those useless bits of stone. Her own empty sack was long since discarded. The sun sat low behind the mountains to the west, half of a glowing red ball. "One of these days," she said dryly, "you will be too smart for your own good. A fool box, Samael? Suppose one of them had understood." "None did," he said simply, but he kept rubbing his hands together and staring at where the gateway had been, or maybe at something beyond. He still held the mask of mirrors, giving him the illusion of added heat. She had dropped hers as soon as the gateway closed. "Well, you certainly managed to put a panic into them." Around them lay the evidence, a few low tents still standing, blankets, a cook pot, a rag doll, all sorts of rubbish lying where it had fallen. "Where did you send them? Somewhere ahead of Althor's army, I suppose?" "Some," he said absently. "Enough." His staring introspection vanished abruptly, and his disguise as well. The scar across his face seemed especially livid. "Enough to cause trouble, particularly with their wise ones channeling, but not so many that anyone will suspect me. The rest are scattered from Ilion to Gilda. As to how or why, maybe Althor did it, for his own reasons. I certainly wouldn't have wasted most of them if it was my work, now would I?" He laughed again, caught up in his own brilliance. She adjusted the bodice of her dress to cover a stomach. Competing that way was remarkably silly. She had told herself that 10,000 times and never listened once. Remarkably silly. And now the dress felt as if it might fall off, which had nothing to do with her stomach. He did not know Savannah had taken every Shido woman who could channel with her. Was it finally time to abandon her? If she threw herself on Demon Red's mercy, as if reading her thoughts, he said, "You're tied to me as tightly as my belt's grabbed." A gateway opened, revealing his private rooms in Ilion. "The truth doesn't matter anymore if it ever has. You rise with me or fall with me. The Great Lord rewards success, and he's never cared how it's achieved." "As you say," she told him, "Demon Red had no mercy, and Senora, I rise or fall with you. Still, something would have to be done. The Great Lord rewarded success, but she would not be pulled down if Samael failed." She opened the gateway to her palace in Aradona, to the long columned room where she could see her pets frolicking in the pool. "But what if Althor comes after you himself? What then?" "Althor isn't going after anyone," Samael laughed. "All I have to do is wait." Still laughing, he stepped into his gateway.
Sidene smelled like the sharp end of a knife, the point of a thorn. Sidar smelled soft, but like something that would grow harder the harder it was pressed. No other Myrtle could smell that difference. Shaitan Haran was like it. Picking up a discarded spear, Shaitan Haran used it to upend the bag Samael had discarded, to stir the bits of stone that fell out. Much was happening outside the door. These events churned. Angry black flame was the spear half from Shaitan Haran's hand. In an instant, the wooden half was jarred and twisted. The spear head dropped off. Myrtle let the blackened spear fall and rested so. Samael said chaos, then all a sudden ache in its neck. Faint weakness. That tie had to be severed somehow. With a snarl, he turned to find the edge of shadow that he needed. sing? Red or green?
That was a good one there.
Argued with Baron, begged Matt to buckle in. Her colors flashed just beyond sight. Adolphine leaped at him with a flashing blade. Sometimes Harry heard a voice moaning for a dead woman in the heart of a fog. Dreams where he tried to explain himself to Elaine. While the end once. Scorn. Not to be deceived. That's in his dream, he shouted for Luce Theron. The sound echoed through a thick mist where shapes moved, people and voices died screaming. A fog-weary Herdswing followed him implacably while he ran, panting. Alana tried to soothe him, but she was afraid of Herdswing too. He could feel her fear as strongly as his own. The old man felt someone else, I think. Was it him? Did not know. He struggled to wake. You kill him! Min shouted. I won't let you kill him! His eyes open, staring up at her face. Not looking at him, she had his head wrapped in her arms and was glaring at someone away from the bed. Her eyes were red. She had been crying, but no longer. Yes, he was inside the bed, in his rooms in the Sun Palace. He could see a heavy square black window with wedges of iron. Coatless, trim silk blouse, inlay curled around it protectively, atop the linen sheet that covered him to the neck. Alana was afraid, and shivered in the back of his head. Afraid for him. For some reason, he was sure of that. I think he is awake, Amis said gently. Min looked down, and her face, framed in dark ringlets, beamed with a sudden smile. Carefully, because he felt weak, he removed her arms and sat up. His head whirled dizzily, but he forced himself not to lie back again. His bed was bright. To one side stood Amis, flanked by Vera and Karuna. Amis's two youthful features bore no expression at all, but she brushed back her long white hair and shifted a dark shawl as though tidying herself after a struggle. Two Aes Sedai were serene, yet with determined serenity. A queen ready to fight for her throne, a countrywoman ready to fight for her farm. He had never seen three people stand together, and not just physically. It was those three, shoulder to shoulder as one. On the opposite side of the bed, Samitsu, with those silver bells in her hair, the slender sister with thick black eyebrows and a wild look to her raven, stood with Katsui, who had her fists clenched on her hips. Samitsu and the raven-haired Aes Sedai wore yellow fringed shawls and had jaws set every bit as firmly as Barrow or Karuna. Yet Katsui's stern stare made all four appear hesitant. The two groups of women were not staring at one another, but at the men. At the foot of the bed were Dashiva, with the silver sword and red and gold dragon glittering his collar, and Flynn and Narishma, all grim-faced, trying to watch the women on both sides of the bed at once. Junin Hadley stood beside them, his black coat looking singed on one sleeve. Saidin filled all four men, overflowing. Dashiva held almost as much as Randall. Rand looked raspy, nodded slightly. Abruptly, he realized that he was listening. She very fallen to his scratch. He died fast and he died hard. Dashiva muttered a curse with Adolphine's name printed. Samitsu and the other yellow exchanged startled looks, but Katsui merely nodded, golden ornaments around her iron gray body swaying. Yes, she don't know. That would explain several letters. You can thank the mistress that showed up. She did not glance toward the grizzled man with his fringe of white hair. He grinned as though she had given him a bite. If true, found home, you would be dead now. You still be down unless you let yourself be killed. You must rest without exertion. And I won't let you kill you either. He put his arms around his shoulders as if to hold him where he was. If the Barakan wishes to rise, he said, I will have Nandera bring the maiden to Florida. So Mara and Anaga will be especially happy to give him just the assistance he needs. Herself, she knew close enough to everything in that situation. Neither Karuna nor Vera smiled. They frowned him as at an obstinate fool. Boy, Catswing said dryly, I've already seen more of your hairless bottom cheeks than I wished to. But if you want to flaunt them in front of all six of us, perhaps someone will enjoy the show. If you fall on your face, though, I may just spank you before I put you back to bed. By Samitsu's face, Corella's, they will be happy to assist her. Narishma and Adley stared at Catswing in shock. Flynn tugged at his coat as though arguing with himself. Dashiva, though, barked a rough laugh. If you want us to clear the women out, let's say to them again, preparing blows. Not shields, but complex weaves of spirit and fire that men suspected would put anyone they were laid on in too much pain if they could channel. No, he said quickly. Vera and Karuna would obey a simple order to go. And if Corella and Samitsu had helped keep him alive, he owed them. He was not sure the maidens had left him in honesty at all. With a smile on him, he flung the rose, tossed back the sheet, and climbed out of the bed unnecessarily. The wise one's mouth tightened. It almost feared considering what he called the maidens. There was an agonized, uncertain look. While Karuna hurriedly turned her back, her cheeks darkened. Slowly he walked to the wardrobe. Slowly because he expected he might give Catswing a chance if he tried again. Ah, she muttered behind him. Now I should smack the stubborn boy's bottom. Someone grunted what might have been a grin or two before he what he was doing. Ah, but it's such a pretty button now, isn't it, Dad? Someone else said, a little Timbarandian accent. That must have been Corella. A good thing he had his head inside the wardrobe. Maybe the maidens did not give away as much modesty as they thought. Light. His face felt hot as a furnace. Hoping the motions of dressing or recovering wobbles, he climbed into his clothes hurriedly. His sword stood propped in the back of the wardrobe, sword belt wound around the dark boar-hide scabbard. He touched the long hilt, then took his hand away. Barefoot, he turned back to the others, while still tying the laces of his shirt. Min still sat cross-legged on the bed in her snug green silk breeches. By her expression, unable to decide between approval and frustration. I need to talk with Dashiva and the other Ashaman, he said. Alone. Min scrambled off the bed and ran to hug him. Not tightly. She was very careful of his bandaged side. I've waited too long to see you awake again, she said, sliding an arm around his waist. I need to be with you. She emphasized that just a tad. She must have had a view of him. Maybe she just wanted to help steady his legs. Arms seemed to want her support. Either way, he nodded. It was not all that steady. Laying a hand on her shoulder, he suddenly realized that he did not want the Ashaman to know how weak he was, any more than Catswing or Amis. Vera and Karuna made reluctant curtsies and started for the door, then hesitated when Amis did not move right away. So long as you do not intend to leave these rooms, the wise one said, not in the slightest as though speaking to her common mind. Brand raised a naked foot. Do I look as though I'm going anywhere? Amis sniffed, but with a glance at Adley, gathered up Vera and Karuna and departed. Catswain and the other two were only a moment more in going. The gray-haired Green glanced at Hadley too. It could not be much of a secret that he had been drawn from carrying for days. At the door, she paused. Don't do anything foolish. She sounded like a stern aunt, cautioning a shiftless nephew without much expectation he would listen. Samitsu and Corella followed her out, dividing their frowns between him and the Ashima. As they vanished, Toshiba laughed, a sharp wheeze, shaking his head. He actually sounded amused. Ram stepped away from him to fetch his boots from beside the wardrobe and take a rolled pair of stockings from inside. I'll join you in the anteroom as soon as I'm booted, Toshiba. The plain-faced Ashima gave a start. He had been frowning at Hadley. As you command, my Lord Dragon, he said, pressing fist hard. Waiting until the four men were gone, Rand sat down in a chair with a feeling of relief and began pulling on his stockings. He was sure his legs felt stronger just from being up and moving. Stronger, but they still did not want to support him very well. Are you sure this is wise? Min said, kneeling beside his chair, and he gave her a startled look. If he had talked in his sleep during those 2 days, the Aes Sedai would have known. Amis would have had Anila and Samara and 50 more maidens waiting when he woke. He took the stocking the rest of the way up. You have a viewing. Min sat back on her heels, beneath his breasts, gave him a firm look. After a moment, he sighed. It's Catswain. She's going to teach you something. You are the Ashima. All the Ashima, I mean. It's something you have to learn. And I don't know what it is, except that none of you will like learning it. You aren't going to like it at all. Red paused with a boot in hand, and stuffed his footing. What could Catswain or any Aes Sedai teach the Ashima? Women could not teach men, or men women. That was as hard a fact as the one power itself. We'll see, was all he said. Plainly, that did not satisfy him. She knew it would happen, and so did he. She was never wrong. But what could Catswain possibly teach him? What would he let her teach him? The woman made him unsure of himself, uneasy in a way he had not felt since before the Stone of Tyr fell. Stamping his foot to settle it in the second boot, he fetched his sword belt from the wardrobe and a red coat worked in gold, the same he had worn to the sea folk. What bargain did Marana make for me? He asked, and she made an exasperated sound in her throat. None, as of this morning, she said impatiently. She and her fellow haven't left the ships.
Alright, everyone. I'm gonna call it into this life for tonight. Try to get some, see if I can get some sleep and get somewhat rested for my appointment tomorrow. But I want to thank everyone for stopping by and everyone who keeps stopping by and showing me support. Definitely appreciate all y'all. Till next time, everyone. Y'all stay safe out there.